Good morning, good evening, and good day. I'm Francine, and I really love K-dramas. You're listening to Dramabuds, a Globe Studios podcast. So hello everyone. Welcome back to Dramabuds Season 2. Today we have a special episode with a special guest, my best friend Louie. Hello.
Hi, Francine. Great to be
Hello.
back.
You're back here again. And you know why, everyone? Today we're going to talk about Hospital Playlist Season 2. Louie, you were here last time. We talked about Season 1 like months after it finished airing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
a few
and
months after.
just like thoughts and feelings. But this time it just finished like 3 days ago. It's fresh in our minds. We're gonna go at it because I don't know about you, but for me, honestly, like season 2 was not all that I wanted it to be. You know what I mean? I was
Yes.
like, season 1 is still very, very special to me, but season 2 is like, okay, it's over at least. It ended okay.
Mm.
Okay. So let's start with coming from season 1, what were we expecting, right?
So for me, I think I was expecting Songhwa to give a positive response right off the bat. I don't know why I was imagining. I was thinking that after Ikjun asks her the question, in the season 1 finale, it would be when she got back and answered Ikjun, it would be something like, okay, yeah, I don't know. I was expecting a yes, and maybe they'd like fumble around it. So I was kind of sad in the first episode when it ended, and she rejected him in such a sad, very, very bordering on callous way. I don't know. What else was I expecting? I was expecting more scenes between the friends because that's what made me watch Hospital Playlist in the first season. I really liked their friendship, their chemistry as friends, their chemistry as a group. I loved all their eating scenes. I loved the way they eat. Like they ate with each other and how they interacted with one another.
Yes.
Yeah, I was expecting what season 1 delivered and more. I guess I was expecting more scenes with the departments, with the different teams under the main five. Yeah, basically those were my expectations coming into season 2.
Yeah. It's like it's just season 1 again. I don't mind if you repeat
Yeah.
season 1. Like I love that. The entire vibe of that. And like yeah, the five of them as friends. It's really like the main draw of the show. Right? It's the core of the show. I love seeing them as friends. And yeah, that's all I wanted to. Honestly, I was thinking, here's the fanfic I wrote in my head before season 2 started. It's like, there's gonna be a time skip already, and then we're just gonna, casually. I was thinking like it's corny now, but like Iksong, hiding the relationship from their friends because like why it's gonna be awkward. They're gonna have so many weird questions or something. And then it turns out no, that is absolutely not what happened. Thank God. But also not really. Because first episode, my God. How are like after that, I remember the moment I finished, I was like, Louis, have you watched? Have you watched it? Do you know what happened?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I remember I was looking back at our chat when the first episode came out, and we were talking about like, oh my gosh, why? Oh my god, what happened to them? Like, is it just not gonna happen? And then we were looking at Twitter, we were looking at all the theories, we were looking at like scene analysis or whatever, and I was like, oh my god. For the most part, okay, in fairness, I really liked the first episode, mainly because I haven't seen them in a year, and I felt like it was such a welcome break for me to watch the first episode. So just like the initial like euphoria of seeing a new episode after rewatching the first season how many times over in the year I was waiting for them to come back was already enough for me. So the first episode, maybe I was blinded by my love for Hospital Playlist to look at it objectively because I just really enjoyed seeing new content. So, what about you? How did you find the first episode?
Like for me, the first episode, I was also so excited. Same. It's like I cannot see anything wrong with this. As long as I see them together, I am happy. Right? This is enough for me. I waited 1 year, a year and a half, right? Since it
Yeah.
ended, it's like I waited so long for this. This is my happy time. Thursdays are gonna be the best days ever because I get them. And then it's like you break my heart in episode one. How dare you? How dare you do this to me? But yeah, like I think for me, episode one, it delivered. I don't know. I was happy with episode one, despite the Ikson ending.
Mm.
But like honestly, as the episodes went on, I did a first impressions episode of right. 'Cause I
Yeah, I
reviewed the
watched
first
that.
4 episodes. Thank you, thank you so much, my loyal viewer, my loyal listener. Anyway, so like after watching the first few episodes, like there was just something I couldn't put my finger on what it was, but it felt wrong. You know what I mean? uh
Yes.
it's like it's just not the same like warmth that I expected, which is weird because I love these people. I've gotten to know the actors and the cast and crew even more as the year passed because of all the behind the scenes stuff that they released and the variety shows. Like I love these people, but why am I not feeling that warmth and fondness I have for them? Like I don't feel it for the show, for what I'm seeing. And like I realized it's because like one, the tone of the show is a bit sadder because like they're all
Mm.
apart. I don't know, right? They barely were together as a group in the first few
Yeah.
episodes. Like first 5, 6 episodes.
First seven, no, six,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Or even sometime in the second half. Like sometimes they weren't together at all. It was just weird. That's my metric, actually. If the episode was good, is if I saw the five of them like eating together, hanging out in
Mm.
Songhwa's office, right? So that's the best
Yeah.
part of each episode. But then that some episodes that was not present at all. And like, yeah, it just felt a lot lonelier.
Everyone was more disjointed. I don't know. Like in the first season, I feel like the main cast and even like their supporting cast per department, they all had a lot of screen time together. And in this one, yeah, it'll just be like two people, three people in a scene, and then the five of them sometimes, if at all.
Yeah.
And yeah, I could tell like after the first episode when like the initial, you know, like allure of getting a first episode wore off, I felt, yeah, these five, they're not together as much. They focused more on like the love lines, the story arcs of side characters, which isn't a bad thing. It's just I preferred the scenes with the five of them more because those are my favorite types of scenes. Yeah.
Yeah. Same. And it's like, um, you'd say like, okay, maybe they focused more on like the hospital staff or the patient stories, but like, honestly, to me, there were only a few patient stories that were super memorable. Like the two moms, the
Oh yeah.
marathon moms, yeah, right, that was good.
Oh good.
What were the memorable patients? The it was this is like in the second half of the season, but like the two friends where the donation person wasn't sure,
Oh
like, are they
yeah.
really friends? And they were trying to like check them, but then they were just really like, they're just dudes, dudes who don't express their feelings, but like they're best friends. What are the other
That was
memorable
good.
patients?
My most memorable patient was Mama Rosa. But like aside from not being Mama Rosa, I think what was it? The one with the dad who got like a liver transplant from
Uh-huh.
his son. And then
Uh-huh.
after that, diba, in like the latter half, he became a neuro patient also.
Oh
That patient
yeah.
was very memorable to me.
Oh, that
Yeah.
guy. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And was that the mom who wanted to try keeping her baby from Sokyong? I think that was his most
Oh,
major case for the season.
yeah.
Was
That was
that
that was like the
mom?
first 2, 3 episodes. That's why it was feels so long ago. But yeah, I always love OB patients the most. Because
Same.
like I already get super emotional about like parents, but then like a parent and their unborn child. Oh my god, don't! I'm so like sensitive. It's like, please don't hurt them. Yeah, OB is always my favorite. My favorite cases. Mm.
Same.
But yeah, I just feel like I couldn't name. Do you have any more that you remembered?
Those I think are the ones I remember the most because I feel
Yeah.
like this season didn't focus on the cases that much, right?
Yeah,
Mm,
and here's the thing. I feel like the patient stories, though some cases may be interesting, they weren't so tied to the doctors or to the main five doctors as much as they were before. Like, okay,
mm.
for example, something so memorable from season one. Remember the dad and the mom and the one kid who were discharged that day. The dad was discharged from like a liver thing. And then
Yes. He
the
became a
next
TA. He
day,
became a
yeah,
TA
yeah,
victim.
yeah. And then like, Ikjun said like, let's wait until after Children's Day so that the child doesn't
Yes.
remember this all the time. Like that was
Yeah.
so memorable. Not just because, it was just a very touching case, but also because like Ikjun being himself, being so
Yeah.
thoughtful, so considerate of this child, this family. Like that was the core of that scene of that case.
Yeah. And
Like
it was like tied to his background because right he was supposed to spend the day with Uju, but his ex-wife said, I'll get him for you for the day since it's Children's Day. You probably didn't know, even though he was looking forward to spending the day with Uju. And that's why that scene hit so much for me, is because, yeah, Ikjun is a dad, and he felt for this child who now doesn't have a dad, and he probably remembered his own son through it. And it was such a sad
yeah.
scene. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. There, like something that memorable. Or another good case from season one. I remember Junwan had this like baby that had a really rare condition. Okay, and then okay, for those who don't remember this, okay, so the child had a really rare condition, and like they put him through so many tests, but like he still died, and then he like had to ask the parents if they could donate the child's heart, right? So they could study it, like,
Yes.
to help children in the future. And it's like, Junwan being very, like, he's such a gruff person, right? Like, one time a patient, I mean, like, a guardian came out of like an outpatient session and asked the nurse, like, is he really like that? And they're like, yeah, we
Yeah.
know he's like that. We just let him be, Please don't mind him. He's a good doctor. He's just like that. Like he's that rude, he's that gruff, but like that it's such a difficult situation. He could pass this off to J-Hack, He could tell him like,
Yeah.
just take care of this. I don't want to deal with their emotions and stuff. But like he was sensitive enough to try because like it is for a really good cause, no matter how difficult that conversation was. Right?
Yeah.
Those kinds of like, see, it's been over a year since I first watched those scenes, and it's been a while since I rewatched season one, but they're so memorable even until now that I can like narrate the story of those
Yeah.
patients.
The moment you were saying, you were explaining the patients from season one, I was like, yes, I remember this clear as day. But when you were asking me, what about what patients were memorable to you for season two, I had to like take a moment and think, oh wait, which patients do I remember? But when you were explaining season one patients and retelling their stories, I was like, I remember this very, very clearly. Even though, same as you, I haven't watched an episode of season one in such a long time. Probably the last time I watched was January or something.
And okay, like I noticed also the patients we mentioned in season two, like they were the ones that were there for several episodes. Right? The
Yeah.
marathon moms were there for several episodes. The son and the dad, they came back in the finale. So, of course, that's fresh. I also remember the girl who was in a motorcycle accident and
Yes.
then she was in a coma and then her mom is like helping her speak again because she had aphasia. Like, they're memorable because they appeared several times
Yeah.
in the season. But if they didn't,
Repetition.
yeah, like, right?
Yeah.
Mm. I'm just saying, the Children's Day kid and the congenital heart diseases and like, those
Yeah.
patients only appeared for like one episode, but they were so memorable that
Yeah.
I can narrate everything.
It was so impactful. Yeah, it was just like what you said, that they were tied to the growth of the characters, or they were tied to highlight a specific aspect of the characters. So it just meshed well with everything, even though they only appeared not even for an episode, because they only had like a brief scene for that episode. Like they weren't the sole focus.
Mhm.
Unlike the marathon moms who got a bunch of the screen time from the 3 episodes they were there. So yeah, agree.
Yeah. Like, I also noticed this. I forgot which episode in season two, like episode three or four, where like the first 20 minutes of the show was just like a relay of outpatients. It was just like outpatient after outpatient after outpatient. Like they just kept meeting people, but then I couldn't really, like, I'm used to when we see a patient like talking to one of the main five, it's like, oh, that might be their main patient of the episode. Like they might really be focusing on that. But there was just like one person after another. And so it felt kind of like, what was this scene leading up to? Like what story were they trying to tell? That the doctors are busy? Do you remember that part? That episode? Early,
Yeah,
early.
I remember, yeah, it was just like a montage. It was playing over classical music, right? Because it was early in the morning, and they were assembling, like Ikjun got his team from GS or whatever. And yeah, I remember them. They were visiting all the patients, they were meeting all these patients, but yeah, it wasn't leading up to anything. Because after that, they moved on to a different plot point, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Yeah. Like that was my problem with the patient stories this season. It felt like you just met the patients. And then sometimes they might stick around until the end of the episode. And then
Yeah.
sometimes they're just like, oh, okay. So you're just a random patient. Okay. All right. Nice knowing you, I guess. Some of the episodes felt like there was no theme to it, really. Like I can remember the ones that have a theme are like episode six, the superstar episode, where like the
Yeah.
new interns and residents came in, and it's just like, last month you were an intern, you were just a med student, and now you're suddenly one step above, but that doesn't mean that you really are like that
Mhm.
good or not knowledgeable yet. Like that month is their adjusting period, and so it's okay to make mistakes. We believe in you. That, which
Yeah.
for me was such a memorable episode because I love the song. Like I cried,
It's the best. It's
cried
such a
in that
feel good
episode.
song. Yeah,
I
it was
was
such a
like,
feel good song.
I was having a hard time with my academics and my everything. And then they were just telling me like, I believe in you, Francine. You can do this. Like you
Yeah.
got this. And I'm like, thank you
Yeah.
guys. Thank you.
It felt like they were speaking through the screen. They were reaching out to me. Oh,
Oh.
same. It was such a really comforting, feel good. Everything, like, it's a good song to listen to after you break down, you know?
It,
That's what the song is for me.
it's a breakdown song. That's right. No, no, no. You listen to it when you're on the verge of a breakdown so that it really pushes you into it. It's like,
Ah,
I believe in you. Why do you believe in
that's my
me?
trigger. Somebody believing in me.
I don't. Oh no. Anyway, but right, that was a good theme. That was a good episode. And then another themed episode. The one with the emergency room people.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember them.
Like the
Mm.
theme is like they're the unsung heroes and all that. Like, a lot of people I don't know why. I wasn't super tuned into this episode.
Yeah, I remember that. No, just to continue what you were saying. They also showed the the nurses who assisted the doctors in surgeries, because I remember the opening of that episode. I think like 3 of them were in surgery or something, and they were asking for help, and the role of the people assisting them were really highlighted. And also in Peja, I think the nurses who were taking care of the babies,
Mm.
cradling them, feeding them, which was in the same episode as the ER people. So yeah, the theme of that episode was okay for me. I guess it was hard for me to keep track because I didn't know the names.
That's true.
It was hard to keep track, but I liked the theme. It was a really good watch for me. I liked the ending of that, which was, what was it? The guy who went AWOL, he came back. The
Ah,
nurses from Peja, they got a gift from the mother who helped take care of because they helped take care of their child while they were in the ICU. Oh, wait, no, the NICU.
yeah.
Sorry, yeah, NICU.
Yeah, like same what you said of like it was a little difficult to keep track of everyone because like I didn't know who they were. Which is like, other people were like, this is such a great episode, hospital playlist really shining a light on the unsung heroes of the people we forget of we that we forget to thank or but we don't appreciate enough. And I'm like, maybe I'm not interested. Oh, I'm not gonna be a terrible person here, but like they're not the main focus of the story. So I'm just like, I just felt so lost. And I'm like, I like the theme of it, but I felt like, isn't there a way that we could somehow tie this narrative into the main five so that somehow I could have an emotional into it? You get me? Am I,
Yeah.
am I a terrible person, Louis? Do I not have any
No.
empathy? I mean,
No, I don't think so. It's like from a narrative standpoint, like just not like looking at it from a narrative standpoint, in a storytelling standpoint, it's a standalone episode. Like what you said, it's not tied to anything. So you could watch that episode without any context from the season 1 or season 2, and it would make sense because those characters don't appear before or after the that episode.
yeah.
So just from that, like it doesn't mesh well with the rest of them because okay, it's a breather from the main five, but they did it at a point in the season where we had other more pressing questions, you know? It's like when a show cuts from their main plot and then they show, an aside
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
expand their universe, and it's interesting. But if you do it in between an arc where you want to find first, you want answers to what happens to this person, what happens to their relationship, what's character A's answer to character B's question, you won't get immersed in a sudden shift in narrative if you have all those pressing thoughts about what happened in episode before, I feel.
Like I like how you mentioned the subplot thing because like you know how most TV shows have like an A plot, a B plot, a C plot. And so like, A is what you care about the most. I feel like the A plot of the main five, like in general throughout this entire show, like the entire season, wasn't as heavily emphasized as I wanted to. Like
Mm,
as five of them, right? Not with their romantic subplots to me, which are subplots. Like I
yeah.
would have thought the main thing of this show is just the five of them being together and being doctors and still being friends. But then
Yeah.
it just felt more like all about the hospital staff and then their love lines and like
Yeah.
about the emergency people episode. It's okay if the B plot takes up like, 1/4 of an episode. But if it takes up like a huge chunk of it and you have an hour and a half long episodes, like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Slow down, slow down. Where are the main people and all their stories who I care about?
Yeah.
you know,
And
yeah.
it's a good thing you mentioned the main five, like in terms of character arcs, because last season I feel like the two people who got the most character development was Junwan and Sokyong, because the Junwan's deal was that in the beginning of the season, or the series rather, he was kind of grumpy, he was kind of standoffish, he got that vibe from patients and also from the residents and the fellows. And then Sokyong's thing was he was kind of he wasn't social. Like it's not really a big deal for me personally if a person
Okay.
is social or not. But for the show, because they emphasized him not being social with other people, like there were several scenes where he goes to the other elevator so that he doesn't have to deal with greeting his residents, or he doesn't have lunch with his fellows or residents. Those two got the most character centric arcs. And then in the second season, it I guess it gets dropped because then both of their main plots are their love lines. Like as you
Yeah.
said.
Yeah. Okay. About Junwan, it's like in first season, right? He was super like very competent doctor, very grumpy and all that, but he's like a goofball. Like, he's chill with his friends. And then in season two, they suddenly introduced his character being like a clingy, sad person who's always left
Ah,
alone. And like I think that's also in relation to his whole thing being about his love line, because when his girlfriend broke up with him, when Iksun broke up with him, like suddenly all he was a sad boy. It was just sad boy
Yeah.
Junwan era, you know? uh
Was depressed for most of the season. Well,
yeah.
not depressed, sorry.
Oh
He showed
no.
symptoms of being very, very
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah.
And he was distant from his friends. He couldn't even talk about it or like use them for support because he kept the relationship a secret. So he was just really alone. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw some tweets of people saying like, what is happening to their friendship? Why are they not noticing that, Junwan is not doing okay right now? Like he's always
Yeah.
just in his room with Jeongwon, like lying down on the sofa alone and like getting headaches
Hmm.
and stuff. Like as friends, why didn't you like talk to him? Why didn't you try to pry, try to see what was going on? Like when Sokyung was, I think when his father died or something in season one, right?
Yeah, they all came and
Yeah, they all
comforted
did
him.
with the beers and they made the
Yeah.
faces, right?
Yeah.
Once again, very clear scene
Yeah,
from
so
season
clear.
one. but yeah, um, right? Like you did that for Sokyung, but how come you weren't able to like intervention the heck out of Junwan and like see what was
Yeah.
going on with him?
I'm just realizing, oo nga, no, because Songhwa points it out. Like, I think he's still sad from his ex girlfriend. Like, she mentions it in one episode, probably like after the time skip or something. But she was asking him, like, what if I set you up with someone I know? And he said, no, I don't want to. I'm not over my ex or something like that. And yeah, they noticed, but they just commented on it, and then they didn't follow it up with anything, which
Right?
was, yeah, it just served to like show the viewers how distant all five of them were, which added to, as you said, the feeling of loneliness in this season, of it being a
Yeah.
little sadder than the first one.
And you know what stresses me out now that we've brought this up? It's like, so what? The message of his story was that only love can make you happy,
Yeah.
right? Because
Oh.
he only started like really smiling and laughing when he
Mm.
saw like Iksun singing in karaoke, right after,
Yeah.
right, and then like then they ended up together. It's just like, why weren't his friends there for him? Couldn't they have been his pillar of support when he needed it? Like he's obviously not super close to his family. We never even got to see his family, so that's out of the question.
Absolutely.
Like he only had his friends, and you're really telling me like his friends were so too busy with their own lives to not even pay attention to him?
Yeah.
No, I hate this message. And only his girlfriend coming back and getting back
Oof.
together with her could make him happy? No!
Too much of a focus on romantic love this season. When last season it was all about platonic friendships, familiar relationships.
Yeah, like their romances happened in season one, like along
Mm.
with their friendship,
Yeah.
right? So it felt like they were having a complete social life because they had their friends and they had their romance. But now it's just like, where is the friendship? You could have been there for him. Gosh.
Oh, that's so true. And now that you brought up family, I just remembered something very, very this is a side tangent to what we were talking about, but I just remembered that Junwan and Ikjun came from like a provincial
Mm.
area of
Mm-mm.
Korea, how like their actors had to learn how to speak with like an
Dialect.
accent.
Yeah.
Yeah, with dialect. And then that was brought up in season one when he called, diba, his mom, when Junwan called his mom or
Mm.
parent or
About
whoever.
the bathtub or
Yeah.
the
Yeah, and then
yeah.
his friends were like, "Oh, you switched so easily from dialect to like standard
So
Korean."
yeah.
Yeah, the Seoul accent.
Mm.
And I don't know, I guess just to go back to the expectations thing, I just thought that would be brought up more like their families and stuff. Anyway,
Yeah.
to go back to what you were saying, sorry, about
Yeah.
Junwan.
Yeah, now that we're pointing these things it's out, it's like, we could have focused a bit on that, we could have gotten to know these characters more. I thought we already
Yeah.
knew them, but oh yeah, there are some more things we could have found out about them. But instead we focused on like all the people in the hospital and their love lines, and Junwan was a sad boy the entire time. So
Yeah.
ah, what a missed opportunity. I would have wanted to know that about more about him. Uh, and then you also mentioned Sokyung's character development, right? Like he became
Mm.
more social. which like this is where I'm like, is it is this thanks to the love line? Like, did he become a more social person because of Minha?
Same.
Right? Did
Did he,
he?
bro? I think so because I feel like that was the point of the elevator scene in the last episode
Mm.
where she invites him to the elevator full of people, and then for once he gets in willingly and he's happy about it, when throughout the series he really didn't like going to that crowded elevator. So I feel like that scene served to emphasize that yes, a lot of his character development stemmed from Minha and not the other things happening in his life, like his
Yeah.
friends or his mom. Speaking of his mom, that was a relationship that was super emphasized last season that we only got like glimpses of. You know,
You know what's weird? Like last season, he was portrayed as like total mama's boy, loves her so much, takes care of her, spends all his time with her, and only in season 2 do we get like, oh, apparently she was a toxic mother-in-law. Apparently, it
yeah,
was this and that. It's like, oh, that's a bit shocking. I had no idea. There were like no hints of that at all in
yeah,
season 1. And sometimes I think like there were things in season 2 that was just like retcon,
not
not
hinted.
really
Yeah,
retcon, but like just we could do this. Like we didn't leave any hints of this in season 1, but we
yeah,
somehow need a new story. So let's just add it in season 2. Oh, it's just like a hidden thing about them, for flavor.
yes. Speaking of retcons, the biggest one for me was Gyeoul's backstory. Like that wasn't hinted to at all,
Mm,
which was
mm, mm.
okay, right? There was an episode in season 1 where this dad comes in and
Mm.
he had sons, right? I talked about this with you a
Yes.
little bit. He had sons, and basically his two twin sons came in at different days and they showed various injuries. And Jeongwon noticed that the bruises don't line up to a table fall or whatever he said, wherever their injuries came from, whatever he claimed. And he said that it's a very, very clear symptom of the dad abusing his children or the dad beating his children. And Kyo looks so shocked about it, which I feel like wouldn't be her reaction if her home life, as revealed in season 2, suddenly was kind of similar to that case. I feel like if this was planned from the start, her lines and her actions in that episode in season 1 would have been different, which was such a weird thing to me because, yeah, like that was so weird. They made it such a big plot point in the second season, but it was never even alluded to in the first season when there was an episode that specifically focused on cases like that or situations like that, which would have been a great opening to allude to Gyeol's own home life. Like, yeah, she chased the dad throughout the hospital. She tried to catch him. She was really passionate. She took off her Crocs. But, you know, did that really hint at you that it was because she was affected on a personal level? I just felt like it was showing us her passion as a doctor. It wasn't showing us it's because this case is very close to home for her in the first season. Yeah. That was a
Yeah.
big retcon for me. It was maybe a little too hard for me to swallow.
Yeah. Like, okay, speaking of that incident in season 1, like I remember after they caught the guy, right? And then the social worker was talking to the Jeongwon, to her, to the nurses, and then Jeongwon was thanking the nurses but not her because he was being tsundere for some weird reason. But like in that moment, I wouldn't be able to say that like, oh, she was like affected by that incident in general because she was reminded of her past. Like she was bothered by that incident because she personally was not thanked by Jongwon, right? That was what
Yeah.
happened. So to me, that moment was not a hint to her secret backstory. It was more of like, oh, yet another incident, another instance of her feelings not being reciprocated. Like it was
Yeah.
tied to the love line. It wasn't tied to Gyeoul as a character. And then,
True.
to suddenly get this backstory, it's just like, okay, this is obviously not planned. Like, don't give me any BS about like, oh, there were hints in season 1. No, sweetie. There were
No.
no hints in season 1. They realized in season 2 when like the two of them got together romantically that it's like, oh damn, what are we gonna do with this character?
Yeah,
Like with
she has no
him,
personality outside the love life.
yeah, it's like with him, I mean, he's the main cast. We don't really have to worry about what he's gonna do. But her, like, are we just gonna keep her around for their scenes? Like, I mean, so they're like, oh, let's just add some backstory for
Yeah,
flavor. And
yeah,
also
for
it
flavor.
adds like conflict to their relationship that
Yeah,
seems to be going along perfectly, like 1 year later still calling your boyfriend professor. But I
that's so weird.
mean
I can't.
I get like I read this review earlier this morning where it's like apparently it's a cultural thing, like even like married people, if their husband was an attorney, they call them attorney or like, lawyer,
Oh my
or
god.
yeah, whatever. Like, okay, maybe it's a cultural thing, but it's like, come on, come on, man. Minha as a person, Minha like the episode after. Sokyung hugged her, immediately started calling him Oppa because she's
Yeah.
shameless that way. But yeah, maybe that's a character thing. Maybe that's just how Minha is. That's just how Gyeoul is. But yeah, in general, they just added backstory for flavor. But really, like, there was no more story for either of them to tell.
Just so like since we were giving a while ago, like what ifs, some things we wish they tackled, but I wish that they just kept the relationships going smoothly since it's just a slice of life show. So if they got the love lines out of the way, they could have made way for like it could have made way for more stories concerning the main five instead of them having to deal with relationship dramas.
That's true.
That's it.
Now that you mentioned like the slice of life term, a lot of people like it, they use it as a shield for all the criticisms. It's like, oh, why were you
Oh
expecting
yeah.
so much? It's just slice of life. And it's just like, I read this somewhere, but like slice of life, it's not an excuse for you to not be entertaining. Or it's not an excuse for a show to not have a good narrative.
Yes.
Right? Because a lot of people
I
use
agree.
like, oh, it's slice of life. It's just meant to be chill. It's just meant to be, no conflict. And it's like, oh, no conflict. And then you give me all these ultra dramatic plot lines of like fake cheating and then terminal illness and then car accident and
Ikjun getting hit in
getting
the
hit by
head.
a head. Like, come on, man. This show became so melodramatic all of a sudden. This is like, you're right. You're right. If they just said like, okay, everything's fine in the romance land and like let's just live their daily lives, meeting their patients, hanging out with their friends, hanging out with their significant others. Like it's all good. I think that would have been a more pleasant show, even without like because I think they misplaced or they just made the romance into the major conflict, right? Of like will they or won't
Yes.
they? When we know that they will, it's just a matter of how. But we know that they're gonna all end up together somehow. As right, but like they dragged out each of the love lines to like such thin plot lines throughout the season,
Yeah.
right? And then like we're supposed to be so invested in that for the character, right?
Yeah.
Instead of being like, honestly, I just want to see them hanging out. I want to know more about their funny past, their crazy med school days, adventures, and all that. We barely got any flashbacks this
Yeah.
season.
Barely.
I
We got
love
like
the
three.
flashbacks.
Just to add, they filled the show with so much contrivance that it was hard for me to root, especially for Iksun and Junwan. It was so hard for me to root for them because I automatically get turned off when the conflict is just miscommunication.
Mm.
It's just like it's such an easy wall to fall back to. Wall? It's such an easy thing to fall
Mm.
back to. Na their main conflict is them not communicating because they're so far apart or whatever.
Yeah, Iksun and Junwan were the most contrived to me, right?
Yeah.
And it would have been okay if it were like, okay, it's contrived, but like Junwan as a character is still somehow doing okay. But as we mentioned, he just became a sad boy for most of the season. And it also showed like how their friendship isn't as tight as I thought it would be in times like these. Mm,
Yeah.
it was really dragged out. And then the ending was kind of like, they had like one serious talk, right? They only had one talk
Yeah.
in the place in front of the steakhouse in front of the hospital, that specific restaurant. Uh, right? Oh, dumb name. Anyway, like they only had one serious talk about what happened between them, and it still wasn't like a super sincere, heartfelt talk. And
Yeah.
then suddenly in the finale, it was like, oh, he sees her, sing karaoke, and or like earlier they kind of hang out in the hospital ish because Ikjun is hospitalized, and then they see Ikjun and Songhwa together. It's just like, oh, are they dating? Blah blah blah. More on that later. But
Yeah.
and then in the end, suddenly he just like starts smiling when he sees her again, and then they just do a parallel of the same scene from season
Yeah.
one,
Season
when he first
one.
asked her
Right.
out. Like I was stalking some of the shippers because like I saw their tweets. They were not happy about it. Like your ship ended up
Oh,
together, but you still weren't happy about it. Because I like
yeah.
their point. It's like parallels are okay. It's okay to have parallels. Like it seems interesting in theory, but then it's like what led up to that parallel? Nothing. Like
Yeah.
their getting back together came from nothing. It just happened. You know?
Yeah. Like parallels usually serve a thematic purpose. Usually people use it to juxtapose, oh, when this happened, like this exact same scene happened, they were at this point in their lives, and you see this scene framed the same way. It shows how much they've grown, but it's a signifier of growth because you see the same scene formatted, but it's in a different context, so it helps you appreciate them more. But yeah, that scene was just a rehash of the season one scene, and there wasn't any added weight to Iksun running up again to Junwan and him waiting for her at the gate. Didn't lead to anything, which I think ties back to your point a while ago that the creators or the writers, they misplaced the focus of the season two, because I think they thought that fans watched the show for their love lines, which isn't the case for me. I watched the show for the main five,
I
and the
mean,
hospital cases.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I care about a ship. I do care. I
Yeah.
am invested, but like I don't mind if they're good and then they're off to the side, like being cute every
Yeah.
now and then, but the five of them still, right?
Yeah. I
And
would have liked if they were just stable. Like, you don't really need the extra fodder of drama, you know. And
yeah,
it didn't need to last the whole season.
but now that we're on it, hello, it's Ikson time.
Oh
It's like,
yes.
okay, we're gonna sound super biased because like we like
Yeah.
them as a ship. We have never not we have never not ship. We always ship the same things.
Yeah.
That was so difficult to get it. We always ship the same things, like consistently.
True.
Yes. I don't know if we told this story in the first time you were on the podcast, but like I remember when after I first watched Hospital Playlist, I recommended it to you, like, oh Lou, you gotta watch this K drama. It's so good. I love it. And then after, like when you said you were watching it, I asked you, so what do you think you're gonna ship in this show? And then first you said Junwan and Songhwa because they were the eating friends. But then
Mm.
like towards episode, like at the end of episode one, you said, nope, I changed it. It's final. It's Ikjun and Songhwa. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, yes, she got it. She got the right answer.
We never disagree on ships. We never disagree
Never,
on pairings. We have the
never,
same
we've never
exact take.
disagreed. Oh, exactly. Oh, okay. Anyway, so
Mm.
yes, sorry to everyone. We are gonna sound super biased right now because we are
Yeah.
Ikson shippers. And like to be completely fair though, even without my shipper goggles, like I can tell that they put the most care or most
Yes.
thought into Ikjun and Songwa this season,
It
right?
did.
Because they ended the first episode with like that moment of
Mm.
her rejecting him. Like it was huge. And then, they really like emphasized that they are more close than the others this
Yeah.
season. Which like I love it because I love them and I still had hope for them even at the end of that whatever that rejection. But then there was also a part of me that felt like, last season they weren't so in your face about, Songhwa finding Ikjun so funny all the time, like, or all the like, close-ups of them looking at each other, or close-ups of their hands touching or whatever. Like, I felt like we didn't. It was a lot more subtle in season one, and that's why I felt I was so into them in season one, and I still am into them in season two. Like, I was still happy when they finally confessed to each other and kissed
Oh,
in episode 11.
such
Oh, how
yeah.
many times have I watched that scene? Only
Oh,
my
I
Netflix history knows. Only they know.
I rewatched that scene so many times. Oh,
I can't. I just can't. Or yeah, where was I for this? But yeah. Anyway, to summarize, I really do feel like they were the show that the writers um took care of the most this season compared
yes.
to the others, at least.
Exhibit A of care being put into their storyline. Cinematic parallel that did hold significance was the season one finale scene of Ikjun asking her, about this hypothetical of him liking a friend, and and then the season 11, episode 11 of season 2, where she finally realizes that she really likes Ikjun, and they have that scene by the window in
The
her
window.
office.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a parallel that holds weight because you see the growth. Like in the first season, Songhwa wasn't sure about her feelings, and in the second one, they get reinforced throughout the season. So, yes.
Yeah. Like, I think I really, I don't know, episode 11 was such like, I'm constantly like, okay, is this finally the moment that she's gonna confess? Is she finally gonna say what she feels? Because, like, you know it, she knows it, we all know that she already likes him at this point. Like, when after she had that surgery, right? And then he was calling her, and like she said, "Oh, but aren't you going to be gone for like 2 weeks or something?" And then when she opened her office door, like he was there sitting on her chair waiting for her, and like the smile on her face as she like looked at him across the room, and it's like she's gonna run up to him and hug him and tell him that she loves him. Okay, like this is it. And then it cuts. And then you don't get it. I was like, okay, never mind. All right, all right. And then, like in the scene in front of the window, it's like, oh my god, the cinematic parallel. This is it. Like the first time, it was him confessing to her, and this time, like it's her time to confess to him. And then it's not gonna happen this time.
Yeah, I thought she was gonna do it by the window. I was
And
like,
no,
oh, it's here. This is it. And then, no,
no,
bait and switch.
yeah, man. But it happened like when they were alone, where no one could disrupt them, in the rain, with their coffee, like all
Oh,
those, all the things that are just like associated with them at this point.
yes. The
And
rain.
yeah, the rain. Ah,
Mm. Ah,
but yeah, like I did feel like care was put into their story. Even
mm.
though personally I did not like the accident, and then her only realizing that the only moment is now, because if I don't say it
Yeah.
now I'm gonna regret it forever, or like, oh, I can't, the thought of not having him in my life anymore, I can't deal with it, so I have to confess.
Yeah.
Like, it was a little over dramatic for
It
me,
was.
right? Compared to how subtle like their development or like, their relationship was up until now. It's like, okay, I guess we have to deal with the the soap opera trope here.
Yeah, I feel like they shine the most in their small moments when they're just talking, when they're just looking out for one another, when they're just constantly like in between their breaks or after they finish surgery, they're the one like they go to the other's office or they go see the other person, they just hang out with them. They like Iksom really shines in moments of subtlety. And it would have been nice, since you mentioned that it was so dramatic how she had her love epiphany or whatever. it would have been nice if she just got it while they were having a normal conversation in her office or something. It just kind of clicks. And they're
Yeah.
just sitting in her couch like always, but there's something different to it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just diving into fanfic territory. Maybe I'm just thinking of how I would approach the two. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Like I read this somewhere where it's like friends to lovers hinges on like two questions. It's like why have they not ended up together, up until now, and what changes the person's mind? Like what has stopped
Yeah.
them and what pushes them forward? And it's like, okay, what stopped them initially is of course, the wife, the marriage, the child, right? Like the whole or
Sokyung.
yeah, Sokyung, and then yeah, her feeling like she got rejected by him twice. She got stood up by him, and then she also got rejected on his birthday. Like, okay, there were a lot of things that kept them before in the past.
Yeah.
But like what pushed her, a lot of people were saying like, oh, that's the accident. That's what pushes her to finally tell him. And I'm like, to be honest, I
No.
think what pushes her to even like rethink the relationship was the fact that he confessed. Right? The
Yeah.
moment that he confessed, her mind already started to change. Like she already started seeing everything in a different light. So I felt like all the subtle moments that you built up throughout the season, yeah, like right, what you said, like it could have just happened while they were eating together and she realized like I'm really happy right now. Like I'm usually chill and happy alone, but I really don't mind spending time with him and being with him. Right? That seems
Yeah.
so natural for them. Or like, okay, if there has to be like a big event to trigger it, for me it would have been during the camping trip with
Yes,
Uju
I'm
and
gonna say
Ikjun.
that.
Yeah. Of
Yeah.
course.
That was so cute.
I know. It's like because camping is like her thing, right? She does this alone. She does it for herself. She loves buying things, like all these useless but useful things for herself. Like it's a me time thing. But
Mm.
she personally invited them, right? She
Yeah.
invited them into her me time. And like in the fanfic I wrote in my mind, um,
Yeah.
like that's a perfect one. That's a perfect like sign that she is open to having them in her life. And then
Mm.
like seeing the three of them interacting and like you know for me, if I were her in that moment, I would have realized like I don't mind having them part of my life, and I also wouldn't mind being part of theirs.
I was just reminded of something from Reply 1988,
Mm,
where
okay.
Sunwoo's mom realizes that, right, they go to a psychic and she's told she's gonna get another son. And
Mm.
she's like, at this age, I'm gonna get another son. And she has the revelation that this is her family complete together when all of them are having dinner in her house. Sunwoo, Jinju, Mr. Choi, Sitek, her, all five of them together in one place, and she's serving them food. And that's when she realizes, this is it. This is my family together. Um, it's such a nice scene for her. She has like this revelation that, oh
Mm.
my gosh, what a scene, or something like that.
Yeah.
That's what I remember when you were sorry, when you were describing
Yeah.
them at the
Like,
campsite.
wow. So apparently they were the original Iksong, the longtime
Wow.
friends to lovers. But yeah, see, like it could be that subtle. No one had to get into an accident. Like because like some people, okay, gosh, okay, going back to like episode 1 when she first rejected him, a lot of
Mm.
like the anti-Iksong people, because they exist, of course, they don't
Oh.
like Iksong because there are a lot of people that don't get friends to lovers. A lot of people don't. I
Oh.
personally, oh, I'm a sucker for friends to lovers, but a lot of people are like, oh, it's just not realistic. Like, really, tell me how many of you fall in love with your friends or whatever. It's just like I've seen it happen. Not to me personally, unfortunately, but but I've seen it happen to my other friends. It works out for them because
Yeah.
they're friends. Like they actually know each other.
Yeah.
But anyway, like a lot of people don't like friends to lovers and they think like, oh, come on, you're ruining this perfect group of friends by having two of them fall in love with each other. Like you're ruining the dynamic, stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. It's like, kind of valid. And then they also like used Songhwa being like, Songhwa is a strong, independent woman. She's happy being single, and you're gonna ruin her character by just making her fall in love with one of her friends. Like, why do you have to, all the
Yeah.
strong, independent women out there, you're not representing them anymore.
I'd argue that Songhwa was the female character they handled well with the love line, because all the other female characters with the love line, they disappear into their relationship. And Songhwa's the only female character in Hospital Playlist that gets a lot of independent scenes, not with Ikjun. So
Yeah.
I'd argue the opposite.
Yeah, because like, she's a main character, and all
Yeah.
the other girls are just supporting characters. Like, oh, I remember. I'm telling you, like Hospital Playlist Twitter, they say it's such an unproblematic, peaceful fandom, but it's not. It's insane, actually. I swear, I swear. But anyway, like some people were comparing that, right? Like how much freedom, how much agency the characters get, and it's just like, and then others were like, why are you pitting women against women? Why can't you just let all of them shine on their own? And it's just like, no, sweetie, we would let them shine. But to be honest, let's be completely real here. Songhwa is a main character, and the others are supporting characters. They're not gonna get nearly as much development as independent like stories and screen time as she will, because they are supporting characters.
Yeah.
It's the fact of like the billing and the salary. Okay.
Yeah.
They're not getting paid as much as Jeonwon do. I'm so sorry.
That's true. Their agency is proportionate to how big a role their character has in, the series. That's just a fact.
It's just how TV works, sweetie.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But where were we with this? Oh, yeah. Okay, so people were using like, oh, she rejected him. They were rejoicing because it's like, oh, she still gets to be a strong, independent woman and like do her own thing. And then now we get an episode where she, her me time is shared with other people. And it's just like, oh, what? Is she suddenly not a strong, independent woman because she wants to spend her time with others? Come on, man. I don't like that narrative. That's not a good narrative either.
I don't like that there's a trend in how, quote unquote, strong, independent women characters have to be on some level kind of closed off, cold. It's like, why can't she be open to sharing her life with other people? That's a strong character as well. The fact that they're so open to people sharing in something that she also likes. She likes camping, and it's shown in the first season where she invites her residents to camp with her. It's something that she shares with people she cares about. I think that's just an indicator of her relationships to the other characters, in a positive way. So I don't think her inviting them to camping detracts from Songhwa being a very, very well written female character in media. Yeah.
It's like, sorry, going back to that strong female character as closed off and like, independent. It's like, so moms aren't strong, independent women? Because you have a child and you have a husband. Like, oh, you're suddenly not strong and independent anymore? Come on, man. It doesn't work that way. You are strong and independent of your own accord, not just because you have relationships to others and you're not like a girl boss. The boss cast like gatekeep. Come on. It doesn't work that way. And okay, sorry, going back to camping in season 1.
Okay.
She was not, that's, camping with Uju and Ikjun is not the first time she camped with someone. She also went camping with Chihong in season 1. And to all the Chihongists who still exist, she invited the residents, not him. And when he pointed out that she was wearing the shoes he gave, she stopped wearing them. Okay, girlie knows her boundaries. She's not gonna play into his efforts. She said no is a no.
Yeah, she didn't lead him on. She gave him very clear signs of her not being comfortable with him pursuing her. That's a big reason why I didn't like Chi Hong's character when he was just unabashedly still trying to get with Songhwa, even though she said no. Which contrasts well to Ikjun, because the moment Songhwa said she didn't think a relationship between them could happen, he stopped, and then they just went back to their normal routine. Ooh, points to Ikjun, right?
Oh wait, correction.
Oh,
When
okay,
she
okay.
rejected him, she said, "I think your friend," the most
Yeah,
indirect way. I
it
think
was so.
it won't be good. I think they should just stay friends. Like she did not flat out say you should, like I don't like you. I will never be with you. We should remain friends only and nothing else ever. Like she was so direct with Chihong. She is capable of being that direct.
Yeah,
Even to like someone below her, which like I don't know, man. In other ways, that could be like a power trip, right? It's the power imbalance, right? It makes it a
yeah.
difficult situation. And this is just her friend. She can be so casual, so about it. And she was like all over the place, avoiding what she wanted to say. So
Yeah.
yeah, like in the first place, it was a rejection, yeah. But it was not as clear cut as some people say it is. And so there
Yeah.
always was the hope of them finally getting together. And they
Mhm.
did, as they should.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, though like I don't like the accident, but like all the emotional, the emotional push and pull until they finally got that confession and that kiss.
Mm.
Worth it. I'll take it. I'll take it.
That long shot of it just zooming into their car.
Oh
Oh
my
my
god.
gosh. I
Oh
could
my
feel the
god.
tension, the awkwardness.
Oh
Somewhat she has something to say, but she's waiting for, she's pausing it, she's prolonging it. Oh, oh,
ah, ah.
oh.
Oh my gosh. I feel like I told you this story before. But like there's this other
Mm.
K drama I watched recently. You Are My Spring. Okay, I think I told you this.
Ooh.
Where it's like there was between the two main leads, like we really thought that guy, that Yongdo, his name is Yongdo, was finally going to confess to girl, to Dajong. And he said, I like you. I do have feelings for you. And then there was just like this long pause, like, let's just be friends. And
My God.
I really thought that as that pause was prolonging, I was like, I think I've seen this film before and I didn't like the ending. I've seen this and I do not like what I saw last time. And then she said, and then she confessed. So it's like,
Ah.
oh, thank God. Oh, God bless. It's all good. We're good. We're good. So yeah, we've talked about Song, of course, that beautiful finale of the beautiful ending of episode 11.
Ah.
Then we finally get to the finale, like a 2 hour episode. Jesus, I mean, all so many others were like an hour 50 minutes long.
Yeah,
Like
an hour
God,
52.
why were these episodes so long? Like if you think about it, like what happened to justify the 1 hour and 50 minutes? But whatever. Anyway, that's another story for another day. God. um so we get to the finale. And okay, just going back to Iksong, like a part of me is happy though that they only got together in like episode 11. Cause like we got some fluff in the end. Like
Yeah.
when Ikjun was listening to her sing and love is deaf. When the person you love is singing, you don't hear how bad they are. And we finally
Yeah.
got to hear John Mido singing properly on this show. We love to see it. Love is deaf. I love it. Um, but yeah, we got some fluff from the two of them, but it never like because Winter Garden, Jeongwon and Gyeoul and uh Iksun and Junwan got together in season 1, and then season 2 became like an angst season ish where their
Mm.
relationship couldn't progress properly. So like a part of me is happy that they only got together at the very end of season 2 so that we never got to the like we never got into like the contrived angst.
Yeah.
Like I still kind of understood why she didn't immediately say she liked him because her mind only started to change when he first confessed at the end of season
Yeah.
1. So like it's fine that she took her time to really, process her own feelings and like realize that she does still like him. And so we only got like a great kiss and some fluff for one episode. I'm good with it. Never got too bad.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah. That's what I realized. Like as I saw it, it's like, okay, the fluff is great, but if I had this for like a whole season and more, and then they had to introduce conflict and angst just to, somehow drag the love line out when it's like it's already good. No thanks. I'm good. I'm good with what we have.
It
Yeah.
ended on a high note for them, for Iksong, I think.
That's true.
You know, it's like,
I mean, it ended on a high note for everyone. Seems
true.
like that was the thing. Like everyone just ended up together, which, I mean, it's a Shin PD show. What do you expect? Of course, they end up
Yeah.
together. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I think an ending that bothered me a bit was
Okay.
Jeongwon's ending. Jeongwon and Gyeoul, right?
Yeah.
Because his whole thing this episode, like first of all, just gotta put it out there, but Jeongwon was barely a doctor this season. We barely saw any of his patients this season, right?
It was sad because, Jungwon was hyped up last season. Him leaving the hospital was such a big deal. Like, he, a lot of characters talked to him saying that, oh, if you leave this hospital, what's gonna happen to the pedia department? Because you're only doctor here who's skilled enough to take on all of these patients, these special cases, so on. And it was such a big point. Like, it was such a big part of his decision not to move. Aside from, Gyeoul convincing him, his skill as a doctor and his importance to the hospital, like, you're such a valuable asset here. That was such a big thing of his character last season, and we didn't see that in the second season. It just fell to the side, which is sad because from the 5 of the main cast, Yoon Sok had the most experience playing medical dramas, right?
Yeah.
He had so much experience playing medical dramas, and you can see in the BTS scenes he even fixes some of the props to make it look more legit, because he's had how many medical dramas at this point? Is this his third or something? Yeah. So it's really sad.
Yeah. And like, I think it frustrates me a lot because like in season 1, he was always like so passionate about his patients, right? That if they get worse, or if he loses them, he's just so depressed, he's so distraught. And like suddenly that aspect of his character was gone. Because one, we barely got to see him as a doctor. And two, it's like his dilemma was always like, oh, I can't be a doctor anymore. I'm a sham. I'm terrible. I can't treat people. And then I'm just gonna be a priest. I'm just gonna be a priest. Um, and now that he's in love, he has a relationship, being a priest isn't an option anymore to him. It's like suddenly that aspect of his character was gone, which I would have thought like, okay, it's possible that he became more emotionally stable as a person. That's possible. But I just think that's such a huge part of your character that like I would have thought, well, then again, this all stems from the fact that he barely has any patience. Right? Like,
Yeah.
of course, I can't see him being sad about his patients if I don't see his patients.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, yeah, I guess I can't say that like why he became more emotionally stable or why he stopped being so into the kids when I barely even saw him interacting with the kids aside from like being cute and all.
Yeah, it was just the finale. Like, that was the only time we saw him distraught over a patient because he had to perform the really difficult surgery, the small intestine surgery. And that was the only time we saw him, what do you call this, fretting over a patient, him being sort of anxious because he's had only 3 other cases similar to this girl's.
Yeah,
And
he lost
that's it.
2 of them, right?
Yeah.
It's like, usually before, it's like, oh, like the other 4, it's like, oh, if you see Andrea coming in, it's like, oh, his patient's not doing so well because he's so sad. Like, or, oh, he looks happy. His patient must be doing really well. It's like, that was the metric of his happiness before because he loved kids so much. And then now we just don't see that. It just doesn't make sense to me. I thought this was, wise doctor life. I thought this was about their daily lives as doctors. It seems to me like this is just his daily life as a boyfriend. Oh,
That's true.
Yeah. But now, okay, in the final episode, he gets finally a good case that like he's lost 2 of his 3 patients before with this kind of problem with this disease, whatever. And like And the big twist of the show, because Yoo Yeon Sok said there would be a big twist at the end of season 2. It's like the twist is that Seokyoung isn't leaving, but it's him who's leaving for the US. And
Yeah.
like it makes you think that, oh, he must have lost the patient again. That's why he needs
Yeah.
to, go out and study and really learn it. And then you find out that, oh, actually the patient is fine. It's just like
Yeah.
I know that it is a narrative technique. Like I know they were going for something there, or a red herring. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, a red
It's like a red
herring.
herring. It was
Bait and
red herring for
switch,
Seokjong.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was,
but like for me, it was kind of frustrating. Like I was like, okay, yay, the child is alive, but also it's like, huh? Then what was the point of that super dramatic? I'm gonna leave, whatever. Ah,
yeah.
and another frustration I have is like, oh, so you're just gonna take Gyeoul with you.
Yeah, I'm just
What's
gonna
she gonna
uproot her life.
like? Okay, you're gonna
You're a
uproot her
fellow.
life. She's a fellow. She's in her first or second year of fellowship by then. And like her family is going through a tumultuous time, and she's been taking care of her mom. She really cares about her, and like her brother's engagement also kind of fell through because of this
Yeah.
whole family dynamic. And then you're just gonna uproot her. Like, okay, maybe in a year, right? Maybe their brother, he said it was in a year after,
Yeah.
right? Not immediately
Yeah.
after. Like, okay, but still, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe her fellowship ends by that point. Because like that's what really bothers me. It's like her career though. What's she going
Yeah.
to do there for 1 year with you? She's gonna be your assistant? Like,
She's just gonna
okay,
support you.
come on. Why? I don't like this. And like I saw some shippers. Like that's my metric, honestly. Like, because the shippers are honestly they're very defensive, right? They're very defensive about their ship. And so it was nice to see some people criticizing what was going on. Like, that made me feel comforted. It's like, okay, okay. So it's not just
It's
me who
not
has a
just
problem
yeah.
with this. Even they who supposedly love the ship also have this problem. So objectively, this is not like a great ending. It was just so sudden. I was personally taken aback when he said it while they were eating together.
Me too, because I thought a plot point that would be addressed in the finale was his proposal. You know, it's been sort of hyped up the entire season and it kept getting delayed because Gyeoul had other things to worry about. And he was fine with that. You know, it showed that he was very mature, the relationship is very stable, he doesn't need to propose right away because they're comfortable with one another. Okay. But because it was brought up so much, I just thought that it would be, you know, that they do it in the finale just for the sake of closure in
Yeah.
that arc. You know, they didn't have to do this sudden US thing. I guess it was, I think him moving to the US for a year is just to make the five feel what
Split
the
up.
audience is feeling. You
Yeah.
know, that they're going to split up, that, oh, why do I have a feeling that this is our last band practice? You know, there's sort of like this impending end to their friendship, not friendship, to their band.
Yeah. The
And
bad.
it ties in a meta way where, because the show is ending, so they kind of feel anxious about it. And we, I guess, relate to that because we're also kind of sad that the show is ending. We're not going to see these characters again, maybe for a long time, maybe at all. And I think that's what the purpose of him going away was that everyone had a sudden realization that, oh my gosh, we're splitting apart. This entire season, we've kind of just been distant from one another, and now we're really going to not see each other, or we're not going to see everyone around
Yeah.
next year.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he was suddenly going, but they could have done that in a different way. They could
Yeah.
have. I feel like there could have been a way to put that sort of emotional plot line in, that emotional point in, without him being, okay, let's go to the US. Woo.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like they had to make someone leave. They had to break the people apart somehow, because like that is the only way to end a slice of life show. Because it could just keep going on and on and on, right? Theoretically. But like someone has to leave. Like they can't all be together anymore. So that's how they effectively end the show. Which was like, okay, sad, but yeah, as you said, could have been done better. Honestly, it was just too sudden for me, and I felt like there was no build up, and then suddenly Like there was no build up, right? He suddenly just said he's leaving. And then you also actually took out the actual supposed reason for the build up, which is like the kid was alive. He was actually kind of
Yeah.
successful. He was actually successful somehow. And so it felt just kind of it I know it's wrong to say it feels unnecessary. Because like, oh, he wants to become a better doctor. What's wrong with that? That's not
Yeah.
unnecessary. But like it's just how I felt in the moment. And until now ish.
Something they could have done for the finale, just like a what if at my end. Again, I feel like this is bordering on me speculating like a fanfic, but I was thinking they could have just addressed if they wanted to sort of shoehorn they're all gonna split apart now, they're all gonna go on do their separate thing.
Mm.
They could have just pointed out how distant they were in this season. They could have just, we were all slowly drifting apart this entire time. And, that could have been their realization that maybe it might be like this for a while. Like, even if you're in the same hospital, you have your own thing. You're doing your own thing. You can't attend band practice as much. It's like if you had a schoolmate and you didn't see them that much, even though you're in the same school, it could have just been like that or something. I don't know, because they already had that aspect of them drifting apart, building up the entire season. I don't know if that was intentional or not on the writer's part, because they focused again on the love line so much. But if they addressed that, I feel like it would have justified all of the other episodes where we didn't see the five as much together, because they were so invested in personal matters that didn't concern their friends. It was independent to the involvement of their friends. So you didn't need to make one move to the US for you to say that, oh, these five, they're splintering a little bit.
Yeah, but that would involve the writers acknowledging that they barely wrote the five of them together. Like that would involve them acknowledging that, it seems like we did focus on the love lines a bit too much this season.
Yeah.
It seems like they weren't as close as they were last time. Like, but they're never gonna acknowledge that. They're gonna say like, oh no, it's just time to focus on their love stories because we spent so much time building it up in season 1. Like that's what we were building up to, the love stories.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, yeah, you were building it up, but it's not why we stayed. We stayed because they were friends and we loved them. But yeah. It's like, I mean, yeah, I can't think of a different way to split them apart somehow. But fine, whatever. And like, I mean, at least the ending was kind of happy-ish, like the final shot, right?
Yeah.
It's like it was bittersweet, as it always is. I cried. I did
Yeah,
cry. I cried also. It's like when I was just seeing all the behind the scenes pictures of them together, I was like, it's over. It's like, oh my god, they kept me alive throughout this hell of a pandemic and it's gone, it's over. And like I waited a year and a half for this season and I wasn't happy with it. But I still love them, like those feelings.
Yeah. Butterfly was such a good song to end on. I appreciated it. It was very comforting, which is why I watched Hospital Playlist. It's for the comfort. And I felt that in the finale, I have my own personal complaints or gripes about it, but it didn't, take away from the overall experience. It was a good finale. I feel like some points could have been done better, but, what can you do?
It's kind of like my feelings for the show are more for season 1. Like season 1 will forever remain one of the most special, seasons, like series for me. Like you get me, season 1 in itself, like that is special to me. And I'm just gonna pretend that it was like season 1 and then episode 6 because I really liked Superstar, and then episode 11. So like right after Ikjun confessed, they sang Superstar, and then Songhwa confessed back to him. I'll just pretend that nothing happened between those events, and then the finale. Like for me personally, that was when I was happiest. But But yeah,
Mhm.
like, I mean, I was still sad that it's over, right? It's still a very special show, but it's like, I'm gonna be objective and say season one is my favorite season. One of my favorite seasons of television, of K dramas. Yeah.
Me too. I rewatched season one so many
So
times.
many times.
And I rewatched it as in everything. I didn't skip any scene. I didn't go to a different episode.
Yeah.
I rewatched episode 1 to episode 12 around 3 or 4 times in like
Same, same.
in its entirety.
That's why we can narrate all the so many scenes,
Yeah.
pure memory. Yeah.
For me, just to give a few final thoughts on season 2, like something I really liked the most, like I guess favorite episode if I were to give one. Season 2 had episode 7, which was one of the first episodes of the season where the five hung out a lot. It's very reminiscent of I guess how we how we hang out with friends,
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
eating, we're talking about what happened to us during the day or during the weeks where we didn't see each other. So that's why it was such a special thing because it felt like we were privy to that bubble the five of them had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
Anyway, go. What
And
were
it's
you saying?
like, yeah, and it's like when they are just acting as like the five of them, it feels like they're not even acting. Because like when you've
Mm.
seen them behind the scenes, you've seen their variety shows, their interviews, like they're also like that. It's so weird, right? Like five people just met, for a job, and then they became friends. Like through, all the band practices and the rehearsals, the stress that they had to go through when they did that live stream of playing together. Like the memories that these five people have shared together on this show. It feels like I was part of it, like I was there with them. Oh yeah. You should watch. Make sure you watch their variety show. Okay, I'll link it to you when
Yeah.
I find it. The one.
Hospital playlist camping.
Yeah.
Is it
Or
oh,
not camping. Like they're in a mountain. They're in a house somewhere in the mountains. I don't know what they're gonna do. It's gonna be dumb. I love it.
oh, amazing.
Yeah, I'll link it to you if I find it. When I find it. But yeah, yeah. Like I'll miss them. And
Yeah.
even if I'll miss them though, I don't think season three will happen.
Yeah, me too. Based on production, based on how famous the cast has grown, I feel like getting them all back together, especially since a lot of them already have projects in store, so they're gonna get bigger. And when names get bigger, it's harder for all of them to be in one production, especially since it's not just the five of them. They have, the supporting cast as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like on some level, the supporting cast also has received recognition, and they're gonna for sure have a lot of other projects too. So it's gonna be more expensive and it's gonna be harder logistically to fit in all their schedules because, syempre, like because of scheduling conflicts and how production goes there, right? They finish taping a whole season, a whole series before they can move on to the next project since everything's complete or mostly complete when they air. I feel like it'll be hard logistically
Yeah.
for everyone to get together. Though I wouldn't put it past the network since it really does rake in a lot of views. So they performed really well. I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised if they had the budget, but maybe creatively as well. The cast and crew don't have anything to add on to their stories, especially since all the love alliance were complete, and that seemed to be the main thing for the whole season. And if that's done, how do they handle the third season, right?
Yeah. It's like I love them, and like I want to see them together, but like at what cost? Because if I have to put myself through another season of like 2 hour long episodes where nothing much happens, and then like the romances are kind of resolved, so they're either gonna add angst, they're gonna drag it out somehow, or they're gonna just be like repetitive fluff all over, like over and over again. So it's kind of like, what what story do you have to tell? What stories do you still have to tell? Because if you don't have any stories to tell, it's okay. We can end it on a good note like this. Let's not force it. And like I'm glad that they realized that. Like I'm glad they realized let's not we can't force a third season if nothing happens. Like we succeeded with our seasonal format thing. We got super high ratings the second time around. We retained like I think they had the same ratings. The ending of season 1 to season 2. So
Yeah,
they
I think
maintained 14%. That's huge. That's still
yeah,
huge.
it's a lot.
So yeah. So it's like don't need to prove anything anymore. We're good. Let's stop. And yeah. Like I'd prefer that way. You know, quit while you're ahead.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Before it gets watered down into
Like
a barely recognizable,
mhm.
a barely
What,
recognizable
what
show.
is this? Friends season 10?
What
What
is
is
this?
this?
Grey's Anatomy season 7?
What is this? How I Met Your Mother season 7, which was all about the wedding? Like one whole season about one wedding? Come
Yeah.
on, let's not do that. So, yeah, it's better off this way.
It was a good, I don't know, yeah. Ending on a high note is
Yeah.
better than ending in a
When-
really,
like,
really sloppy
yeah,
finale.
yeah. And you're a husk of your former self and you just call it quits because it's like, this is just embarrassing to keep it going. Like, let's not get there. We're good. We're
Yeah,
good.
that's true.
Yeah.
What else did I have? Other thoughts. I guess I like, I think the other supporting character that got the most focus for the second season was Jaehaek. Because, speaking of, I felt really sorry for him. Jaehaek's character is so unlucky. So, to recap, he got scammed out of his life savings in the first season. Him and his wife tried to conceive, like as he told Junwan, they tried to conceive, but it didn't happen. It wasn't happening, so they gave up. And now they were settled into just being husband and wife, and they loved it. And then suddenly, what happens? An unexpected pregnancy. What else happens? His wife has breast cancer. That's just whoa. So at least at least everything got resolved in the finale. His wife is fine, his baby's healthy, he got the money back. But wow, Jaehaek.
Yeah. It's like a part of me was kind of like, okay, yay, he got his money back. But also it's like, wow, that was so shoehorned in. Just to say that he got a happy ending. It's like they never even mentioned it once in season 2. But then suddenly it's back at the very end, just to, drive it home that he is a lucky guy now. He is good. It's like, all right. I mean, love him though. Happy for him.
Yeah,
But
happy for him.
narrative wise, it's like okay.
Other closing thoughts. I loved the friendship between Mama Rosa and Jongsu. Their scenes together were great. I'm happy that his lack of appearance in the hospital was lampshaded. That was funny to me because all his scenes were in Rosa's house, which I'm fine with it. It's great that they mentioned in the finale that he retired. And that they're going to travel to Rome, I think.
No. They're gonna go to Spain, I think, and it's like it's a pilgrimage. It's like something how many kilometers? Like for normal people, it's like 2 months worth of walking, just walking to a cathedral. But for old people, I'm so worried about them. I'm so worried.
Yeah.
I'm so worried about them. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked their friendship, and I'm happy that they stayed platonic. I was worried that the show was gonna shoehorn another romance because characters were, I think, teasing or alluding to, they're friends, just friends. Like it's very emphasized how, I don't know, some characters I remember they were acting like, whoa, they're just friends, really, something like that. But yeah, I liked how their relationship progressed. I liked how satisfying their scenes were. For all the lack of scenes the five had, the second strongest friendship in the show was the friendship of those two by the second season.
Yeah.
Because they were fleshed out a lot.
Yeah. I like Sunbin and Sokbin a lot. And like I wanted to see their wedding. Like I thought like in usual like Shin PD fashion, like he always ends with a wedding. Usually he ended with a wedding in the reply shows. I thought like So if someone's gonna get married on this show, it's either Gyeoul and Jeongwon, Jongsu and Rosa, for some reason, or Seokmin and Sunbin. It would be so funny. I love that scene where it's like, do you want to get married? I mean, if you want to get married, I have money. You know? She's like,
Yeah.
no big deal. I got the money. Like,
Yeah.
okay, sis, go off.
It was great 'cause they mentioned it in the first season that Sunbin is rich. Parang ganun. She came from a family of doctors, so she really is rich. And that was mentioned in the first season. So, hey, that made sense.
Yeah, that was
They
not a
were-
retcon. Yeah.
They were my favorite. I loved them. So I was kind of I feel like their scenes were very short in the season. I missed Seokmin. He didn't have a lot of things to say, even though he was very important last season. He
Yeah.
even handled the case. And he did in the episode 11. Did he handle the one where he convinced the patient to take the surgery even though it was risky?
Yeah. I think
So, yeah, he got one big moment, but yeah. I guess
Yeah.
that's another thing. I'm just gonna miss the neuro department because I love them a lot and I wish I saw more of them.
Yeah. It's like it just kind of got sad because Chihong left. Cheong left because his character has no more role because there's no love triangle anymore.
Mhm.
God. And but like when he left, and then Seokmin also left, just got sad. And then Songhwa also left technically in the first part.
Yeah. Oh
Like,
yeah.
it was just Sunbin, sad, but okay. Yeah. Oh, I liked how this one when they broke up ish. When they fought, because Sunbin was being
yeah.
privileged and didn't realize her privilege. Like it's just money. Like why is that a big deal? He's just like, you're rich, you don't get it.
You're a trust fund baby. You don't
Yeah,
know.
you're a trust fund baby. You know nothing. And I'm like, damn. Oh damn, real struggles. I love it. We love to see it. So, yeah.
Yes.
I like
Yeah.
them. I like them. I like them as a side couple. Like for some reason, they're the side couple I like.
Yeah. They're a good side couple. And their conflict made sense. It wasn't contrived.
Yeah.
Mm.
What else?
What else? We were talking about I think something, I guess I'll just say before we do final thoughts. Something I wish I could have seen more were the different departments. I really missed, I don't know, seeing the five with their respective teams. I liked how they were teaching the fellows. Who did we I feel like we also didn't see the twins that much. Their storyline with Songhwa being the doctor that helped their mom. It ended season 1, so they had nothing more to say. They were
just the new interns. So that was their story. They were separate already. Like, and Hongdo, right? The guy? Was
Yeah.
stupid. He answers nothing. And that is his struggle. And I understand. I respect the struggle. So yeah. The music, honestly, was not as memorable as the first season for me. Like the ones that like on my playlist, what would I go back to all the time? I'd say like Superstar, the Jojong Suk song, I Like You, the Twice song, I'd go back to that.
It's My Life. I remember that
Oh,
really well.
I
Because of
actually
their outfits.
Oh yeah, and running to the sky, running across the sky. Cause like I remember that, cause that's that's a song that my sister and I like. Like we really like the original of it. And so when we were hearing like the background music playing, it's like, wait a minute, is it this song? And it was that song. You should listen to the original. The original singer is so good. Running Across the Sky by Lee Jok. He's the guy in Reply 1988. The da-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na.
Yes. Oh,
He's that
okay.
singer. So yeah, you know him.
Yes, I know him.
Yeah,
I listen to that.
great singer, great song. Love that song. Oh, okay. I have to do this for the sake of my
Okay.
sister who will be listening to this.
Okay.
Like when we were okay. Oh, this is such a tangent. But so the final episode, when Rosa and Jungsu were talking about going, like when he was telling her, like, let's fulfill the dream that you always told me about. and let's walk that road. Let's do it. And like, are they gonna go on a pilgrimage? Because like,
Yeah.
okay, because my sister, like the first generation K-pop group that she likes, G.o.d. I don't know if
Mm.
I've told you about them, but yeah, like these old men, like when they reunited after one member left and then he came back and then they reunited because they forgave each other and they got back together as a band. Um, and like I don't know, they celebrated anniversary or something, and then they went to the pilgrimage. And so it's just like a bunch of men in their 40s, walking down this long
Oh.
road, like back pain, knee pain, foot pain, like it's just old men walking. Sorry for calling men in their 40s old, but if you look at their back pain, they are old. Anyway, because like they walked down that long pilgrimage because they have a song called Road. I don't know if I made you listen to this before, where it's just like I'm gonna make you listen to this. So if
Okay.
the listeners, if you're on Spotify, I'm gonna play the song right after. So we really thought,
The
sorry,
pilgrimage. Yes.
they have this song called Road. It's so iconic. It won like the grand prize in a music awards show the year it was released. Like it's gorgeous. I'm gonna send you a link later.
Okay.
Um,
Great.
it's gonna give you an existential crisis. It always gives me one. Anyway, so we really felt like, oh my god, G.o.d. They really had like a whole variety show. Like they produced a show about the men, about them walking the pilgrimage, right? And people watch that. It's an actual show, and we thought like, oh my god, are they gonna sing Road in the finale? Because it's just like it's a song about like why am I walking down this path? Is this path even right for me?
Oh.
Like what will I achieve by at the end of this road? Are my dreams truly my dreams, or is this someone else's dreams for me? Like, a bunch of existential crisis
Oh,
stuff.
she.
You know what's up. And really like, oh my god, they mentioned the road, they mentioned the pilgrimage, and then they're walking down different paths, like Jeongwon is leaving. And we thought like, oh my god, this is road time. It's road time. But it was not road. Like imagine the disappointment. We were just like, oh, it's not road. Aw. But yeah, sorry. I just had to insert that
Oh
for
yeah.
the
No
sake of
problem.
my sister. Hello. so yeah. Like the music, some of them they were good, but like I had a problem with this in the early episodes. Because like
Mm.
in season one, usually it's like a song related to their past, a song they performed in the past, or like it's somehow connected to the theme of the show. But then
Yeah.
like in the first few episodes, the songs kind of just seemed like, oh, what are we singing today? And then it's just band scene immediately.
Yeah, it was just a tag like
Yeah.
on. It was
It
just a
wasn't
tag
like
on.
the band they weren't leading up to the band scenes. It was just like, okay, it's almost the end of the episode, band scene. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the reason why I felt like the music wasn't so memorable this time.
It didn't
Uh
even connect to people in like how sometimes there are band scenes and then there's a montage of closing things that
mm,
just tie off loose tangents. In the
mm,
early half of and yeah, in the first half of the season, we didn't have that. Yeah, it was just
mm.
literally the song and it
Yeah.
didn't connect to anything at all.
Yeah. Except for like Superstar, my favorite.
Ah,
It's
yeah.
my favorite. It's like felt. It's so
So
felt. I
good.
love that.
I'm gonna shout out my favorite background character, Song Young from the neurosurgery.
Team,
What?
yeah, neuro what
Yeah,
people.
from the from the neuro department because his actor was so cute and every time his actor was on scene, I was just always noticing him. So shout out to him. Shout out to Minha because I really liked her character.
Love her.
I
Love her
love
so
her.
much. It's like I don't I once again I didn't super see the sudden development of their ship. Like
Me
suddenly
too.
he's into her now. Like I didn't see it. But I like Sokyung as a character. I like Minha as a character. I don't love you two together, but like I'll take it. I love you both. Yeah, I love Minha.
What else? I think overall, I mean, yeah, season two, it had its ups and downs for me, but I still looked forward to watching every episode. Every Thursday I'd wait. Usually Thursdays are it's towards the end of the week, and the stress has built up. The requirements and assignments have built up, and it was a nice break. And it was a nice break at the end of the day because the show would release here around 10:30 p.m. or 11 p.m. So it was a good way to end the day. And I think it really helped me cope with everything that's been happening all around all the time. It was a great show. It helped keep my mind off of some things, and it similar to you. It gave me reason to look forward to the next year. While I was waiting for season two, it just made me excited to see something. I guess I didn't have any long-standing plans because I'm just at home, but a long-standing plan of mine was to watch season two, and I was able to do it, and that got me through. I really thank Hospital Playlist for being that show.
It's like, where do you see yourself in 1 year last year? Watching Hospital Playlist 2, probably. That's the only thing I saw in 2021. Nothing else. I could not imagine anything else. Just Cosplay 2. So, that's it for us today. This episode is very long. We have said so much. We have discussed everything and everyone. And I think that is fitting since we are saying goodbye to this show. It was a special show. There's still one more variety show, right? Before they go off on their own ways. And, John Mido will be in 39 with Son Ye Jin. Amazing. Yu Yeon Sok will be in Suriname. I think it's like a big time. It's like he's with a bunch of big time actors there, and they're gonna go overseas to film in, I don't know, somewhere. I don't know, I forgot. But he's about to leave, so yeah, they really have to wrap it up. What's his name? Dae Myung. I don't know what he's doing with his life. He might be resting. I don't know. Jung Kyung Ho, Junwan. He's venturing into the musicals world. Yeah, he's gonna do Angels in America. I remember. I bet he was like, everyone around me is doing musicals. I want to do musicals too.
Yeah, and isn't his wife like a singer? So
girlfriend, long-time girlfriend. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. His girlfriend is a singer.
So it's like, oh, he's fine. He's doing it. He's doing it, guys. Doing a musical. And Jo Jung Sok is gonna be a dad. He's just gonna be at home with his kid and getting rich from all his endorsements. We love to see it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it. That's it for them. That's it for us. Thank you, Louie. Thank you so much for joining me. This was so much fun. We're not going to be doing this again. This is the last time we're doing this for Cosplay, but we'll find another show. Find another show for us. Okay.
Thank you for inviting me as always. This is an outlet for me to let out my Hospital Playlist thoughts because I do not dare enter Hospital Playlist Twitter.
Don't. I do not dare you even. Do not. Just don't. It's fine. But yeah. Okay. Everyone, to anyone who's still here, hello. Thank you so much for listening. And I will see you soon. Thanks for tuning in. Feel free to leave a comment, like, subscribe, follow, and tell me what you thought about today's episode. See you soon!